Terrifying creatures that our Earth has kept hidden from us are finally making remarkable appearances. A chupacabra from the Ukraine, Tilikum the infamous orca whale, and endangered animals are going to the moon. The chupacabra, a terrifying creature that likes to feed on the local livestock. Usually found in Latin America, this monster was actually found in Ukraine within a barn, somewhere in the village of Rukshin, trying to go after any food it could find. The farmer, named Ivan, was the one who managed to capture it and bring it in for research. The locals had reported prior though that this strange creature was getting into a lot of their cages, trying to go after their chicken and rabbits. Scientists gladly took the chupacabra in, excited at the opportunity they've been given to look at this creature. But they were absolutely baffled. The head over at Regional State Laboratory said they had no clue what this thing is. Sure, it had similar characteristics to that of an African fox, but because of how long its teeth, neck, ears, and paws were, they couldn't put a name to it. Ivan also had to mention this isn't the first chupacabra that roamed in the area. There was another one found in the woods not too long ago, except this one resembled a kangaroo. The name itself means goat sucker, and is believed that they use their incredibly large fangs to suck the life force out of its prey. Locals, ever since this creature was captured, had become too scared to leave their homes. They've been too worried that another one would come along and attack their remaining livestock. Monkeys were locked away and kept as pets in the Middle Ages. This was a common practice back then with any exotic animal, and there were actually quite a few rules and books on how to care for each specific animal. These recordings go back as far as the 11th century, with the first ever well-known one being about Peter Damien. He reported that a count by the name of William had kept a male monkey named Malmo. There is a really bad rumor that runs with him though, because a lot of people would gossip about how the monkey was extremely close to his wife, and I mean extremely in the worst way possible. High-ranking lords in this time, however, all had some great liking towards monkeys, despite how unpleasant and unhygienic it was to keep them around the castle. One lord by the name of Alexander had written about his experience from the 13th century. He said, "Even though the ape is a most vile, filthy, and detestable animal, the clerics like to keep it in their house and to display it in their windows as to impress the passing rabble with the glory of their possessions." It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows though, because these monkeys are still wild animals. He wrote about a time that a monkey snuck in through his window while he was gone, with a piece of specialized equipment that it stole from a cobbler, and began to destroy and tear up pieces of leather all around the house. Monkey see, monkey do. The tragic tale of Tilikum, the orca whale from SeaWorld. Tilikum, also nicknamed Tilly, was originally captured off the coast of Iceland in 1983, when he was roughly only around 2 years old. After living in a marine zoo in Iceland for a year, he was then transferred over to Sealand of the Pacific. This is where he had met his first mate, Haida, and the two of them hit it off easily. It wasn't until Haida was pregnant with their offspring, Q-quote, that a tragic accident struck the park. 20-year-old Nutka, a Sealand trainer, accidentally fell into the tank on February 20th, 1991, and Tilikum, Haida, and another female orca brought her down into the depths below. This was the first incident on Tilikum's record. For some reason though, after Q-quote was born, the two female orcas really started to show their disinterest towards Tilly in a fairly aggressive manner. He was then transferred over again to the infamous SeaWorld in Orlando. July 1999. The second accident to occur with Tilly. Daniel Dukes thought it would be fun to sneak into SeaWorld after it closed, wanting nothing more than to take a dive with Tilikum. It didn't end well at all. February 2010, the third and final incident involving another trainer, Dawn Brancheau, who was giving Tilly a post-show massage before she too was dragged down into the waters below. Just goes to show what the consequences are when we keep wild animals locked up from such a young age. This fisherman found an incredibly weird-looking creature on his boat. It had dozens, if not 100 tiny legs that moved and curled up in the man's hand. He had no idea what this creature was, thinking it was probably some sort of alien. But thankfully, YouTube's comment section usually always comes through with some sort of answer. This crazy specimen is what's known as a basket starfish, and are usually only ever found in the deep sea. And by deep, they can be found as low as 12,000 13,000 feet below. They look like this to make it much easier for them to capture their food, almost like in a basket, hence the name. This species of starfish can live up to around 35 years, but they are so demanding when it comes to survival that they often don't make it that long in captivity. Much like other starfish, they don't have brains or bodily fluids, and they're also able to grow at least 3 feet in length. They are nighttime hunters and will mainly go after zooplankton, worms, and any other small crustacean that they can find. The mysterious fish without a face. A truly rare phenomena to discover. It's a mysterious species of cusk eel known as the T. nossus. Scientists originally thought that this creature went extinct over a century ago, since the last time anyone had ever seen it was back in the late 1800s. They technically do have eyes that can be located beneath the skin somewhere along the front, but for some reason this recent version that they had caught had no visible eyes whatsoever. These guys usually hide 13,000 feet below the water, which is probably the explanation as to why it hadn't bothered to show itself in so long. Like most things, when you're lacking one of your senses, you're gonna compensate with another, which is what they do with their noses. Their metabolism is so slow, they can go for weeks without needing to eat anything, which is probably wise to evolve since there's very limited options in the Twilight Zone. Because they are so rarely seen, there is not enough research done on these guys to give you a full rundown on how they evolved or why they chose to look like this down the line. Yes, scientists are planning to put endangered animals on the moon. This all started when researchers wanted to cryoconserve endangered animals from Chester Zoo. They took samples from specific species and kept them cryogenically frozen in liquid nitrogen, with temperatures as low as -196 degrees Celsius. This is to put a pause on all natural chemicals found within the cells to keep them from basically disappearing. Scientists are saying that we are now in a biodiversity crisis, with humans having put 869 species to extinction only within the last 500 years. They froze both male nutrients and female embryos, and hopefully are able to use these to put within a surrogate mother. So it's kind of like Noah's Ark, but in a more sciencey way. It doesn't stop there though, because last year they announced that they were going to put all these frozen animal cells onto the moon. Researchers envision putting a futuristic holding area near the moon's poles, which are usually always in the shadows and are also as low as -196 degrees. They mainly did this because they basically didn't trust our Earth in the long run. I mean, yeah, certain parts of the world are going haywire right now. No humans would be able to get their hands on them, try and break into the facility, and pretty much render them in a perfect undisturbed location for centuries to come. Aside from finding the funds and materials to build the station, they also have to take into consideration the dangers of trying to transport these animal cells. Radiation is one issue they're worried about, and also making sure that other countries aren't going to go up there and ruin their plans. So they need to discuss and make sure the majority is on their side. How are we so sure that aliens will go to the moon and steal these from us? What are your thoughts on this list? Let me know down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Stay creepy.